everybody, welcome to the channel. It's Robin with Homesteading with Sadie. So today I'm going to do a craft project. I'm going to make a Christmas present for somebody I work with. No worries, she doesn't watch my channel. I don't think she does. If she does, hey, surprise. But anyway, I'm going to make a heating bag. So I know you've probably seen, or maybe not, people make them out of make those little bags you can microwave or freeze, and they make them out of feed corn or rice. I'm actually chose to do mine out of cherry pits. These are clean cherry pits. I got them from Etsy. The reason I didn't want to do the corn or the rice was because of weevils. And I've read a lot and I've seen a lot, and I just don't really know. I don't feel comfortable giving a gift that could produce weevils. I know people go through the feed corn, they pick out the bad stuff, they microwave it to kill the weevils, or they freeze it. I'm just not really comfortable with that. So I would hate to give a gift that if she put it in her closet and forgot about it for a while, and all of a sudden now she has a weevil problem. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the cherry pits. Well, I've ordered 2 pounds of clean cherry pits from Etsy. And I'm sorry, I don't remember who I ordered them from. If you're looking for cherry pits, just go on Etsy and type in cherry pits. But so I'm gonna have to figure out my material size. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll come back and show you what I have and how I'm gonna make it. So what you doing, Sadie? Go ahead and move it over here so you can see it. But I went with 10 by 20, and then what I'm gonna 10 by 20, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold it over. Sadie, no. Coco, no. I'm going to fold it over. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this end and then sew up. And then I'm going to fill it, and then, well, you see what I'm going to do. But anyhow, 10 by 20 is what I came up with for the bean bag. 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to sew. And backstitch to lock it. You don't want any of these cherry pits coming out. And put the needle down and turn the corner. Pit. Line it up. And so. And lock it up, and then I'm going to turn the bag inside out. Okay, so here's my material, and it's muslin. I don't think I told you that it was muslin. So I have it sewn on the sides, folded, sewn. So I only have one opening here. And I'm going to make this in 3 sections. So I'm going to do 6 inches, 8 inches, and 6 inches. So let me just mark that a little bit so I kind of know where I'm at. So I'm going to do 6 inches from the bottom because I'm going to fill from the bottom. So right about here, I'm going to fill it right now. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so I'm going to fill it right now to about here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the sewing room and sew straight across. So I'm going to make this in 3 sections. So here is I got 4 cups of pits. And I got to figure out how I'm going to fill this. Okay, so I've got it filled to the line. And I'm just going to take it in the sewing room and sew it. So let's go do that real quick. So I'm just going to make sure all the beans are down that way. I've got my little line right here. I don't want to run over any beans or seed, whatever those are, pits. And just sew a straight line. And I'm going to backspace it. Oh, backspace it. I'm going to reverse it to lock it and then continue. And you see I got a good amount in there. So I'm going to do the, what did I say, 6, 6, and 8. So I'm going to do the 8 inches. Let me get my chalk. Okay, so I'm going to go fill that. I'll be right back. Okay, so I filled it up. I'm going to go ahead and sew it. So I filled up the middle section, the end, the middle, and then I filled up this piece here. And so what I'm going to do, because this is all open, I'm going to fold these ends over just a little bit. And then I'm going to sew, just so it'll be neat. Just like making a pillow, except your opening wouldn't be as big. So I'm going to, all right, I'm going to fold it over like that and just sew straight down. Oh, it's kind of hard to get in there with all the pits. I'm gonna just get my needle down and I'll work with it from there. Okay. Definitely want to lock this stitch up really good because this is the end. All right, so now I'm just going to cut some of these threads off, make it look neat. And then what we're gonna do, so this will be non-washable. So I'm gonna make a cover for it, a cover that she can take off and on to wash. So let's do that real quick. So she likes Mickey Mouse, and these are really cheap. If you go to Walmart, you can get what they're called fat quarters, and this should be enough material for me. So if I was to get the yard, the Mickey Mouse fabric by yard, who knows, it would be more costly. I should wash that first, but I'm not going to. I don't think it'll shrink up that much. So this should be hopefully enough. Yeah, plenty. Okay, so here's my material for my pillowcase, and here is how I figured it out. So my original, hold on, let me get the original. Oh. So this is the original bean pit rice bag, whatever you want to call it. So what I ended up with was 19.5 by 4.5. So what I've done is, for my 19.5 inch length, I've added an inch, and that's for a 1/2 inch seam allowance on each side. So I've got 20.5. And then my width, which I'm going to fold over and make like an envelope, 4.5 is 4.5 is 9 inches. And then I want a 2.5 inch overlap. So it would overlap. You'll see in a second when I get it done. So that gives me an 11.5 inches. And then I have to add a 1/2 inch hem allowance on each side. So that gives me 12.5 inches. So I'm going to hem up both my long sides right now. All right, so I have my material and I hemmed up both sides. Nice and neat. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the end. I'm going to sew the end. So I'm going to do 2.5. I'm going to take 2.5 inches from this end, and I'm going to fold it in, or fold it up. Right sides together. Maybe measure that real quick. So I've got 2.5 inches. All right, and then I'm going to come from the other end, and I'm going to go 4 inches and fold it. Right there. Let me match up the edges. All right, so if I measured correctly, I should have about 4 3/4. So that's going to give me enough room to maneuver inside, get this in the bag and be tight. Not too tight, I should say. That's 5, so I didn't quite measure right. So I want to bring it in another 1/2 inch maybe. No, maybe just a little bit more. You see that? That's about 4 and about 4 3/4. A little bit less than 4 3/4. So you just measure it like that. So bring the 1/2 in 2 inches, the first side in, fold it over 2 inches, and then fold this about 4 inches. Yeah, it's folded 4 inches. So that's going to give you about 4 3/4 inch. This is 4 1/2. You got a little bit to play with. So it's always helpful when you're trying to put a pillowcase on a pillow to have something to play with. So I'm going to just pin this. Together. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. Remember, one thing to remember is you sew on the right sides together. So let's go hem this up real quick, or sew it up. I'm going to turn it right side out. Get your corners nice and neat. This is such a cute little material. That would be a lot easier to take off and on. Let's go out and try it. All right, so let's see if it fits. Shove them in there like that. And there you go. I think it looks pretty good. And you can see here it's, to take it off, you would just go in here and remove the bag. But this makes a great little pillow cover. Let me get the rest of this. There you go. This makes a great little cover so you can wash this when it gets dirty. So you would just throw it in the microwave, heat it up, throw it on your shoulder. It feels really good. I don't have it heated, but I'm sure it feels really good because it feels nice. Throw it on your shoulder, around your neck, wherever you have some pains and aches. So it's a little bit on the bigger side, but I did not wash this material, so it should shrink up in the wash. And I'm just going to fold it up, put a little bow on it. I have a little basket from my friend with all the little Mickey Mouse stuff in it. It's going to be really cute. And I'm going to call that a day.